Good evening, everybody. Hope all of you are doing well this week. For this week's video, we're going backwards in time, back to 2020, specifically back to the spring of 2020. The following poem appears in my book, Poetic Journey, Staying at Home, which comes Saturday, October 5th, will be released on Amazon shops around the world. The current run of sale has only been here in the United States only, but on Saturday, A Poetic Journey will go global. And considering it feels appropriate to be reading this poem, given what's on the near horizon that's coming up. The poem is called Yearning to Fly. Though we may be grounded for now, it's never too early to think of where to go next. The world's still at our feet, its wonders yearning to be discovered. At some point in time, I'll be back at the airport, ready to depart for somewhere new. But until then, I can dream. So yes, Yearning to Fly came about purely because of the fact that back in 2020, I had a 12-day trip to Italy booked for that fall, for September of that year. But I had to put the trip on hold. I initially canceled the request altogether because I didn't want to go through the process of rebooking the trip and then pretty much wonder, oh, the pandemic is still raging. I'm going to be in the exact same scenario again a year or two later. So I outright canceled the request. In the aftermath, I began to miss the fact that I wouldn't be able to travel, whether it be packing my suitcase, whereas I would just stare at the carry-on bag in my closet, almost longingly for a reason to go somewhere, because it had become such a custom that when it wasn't there, it felt like something was lost. Thankfully for me, I was able to rebook that trip to Italy and took it 2 years in 2022. It's with that thought in mind that my next trip is on the horizon as I head off to Croatia. At this time tomorrow, I'll be in the air, crossing the Atlantic. It's gonna be a 10-day trip from Zagreb to Dubrovnik. And surprisingly, unlike the last two trips, the process has gone relatively uneventful. No major changes or situations have occurred to this point. And let's hope it stays that way for the next 10 days. I'm really looking forward to being on the Adriatic, even if it's going to be a little bit cooler than usual, because I take my trip usually late September. But I'm still going to enjoy it nonetheless, it's going to be a whole new group of people to meet. And with the fact that the Poetic Journey is coming out on Saturday for a full release around the world, I have an extra reason to celebrate. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do both. So that's it for this week's video. As I mentioned, I'll be traveling next week. The schedule's gonna be there's gonna be a poetic pause in place. Don't worry, I won't completely fall off the face of the earth over the next 10 days or so. I will have my dispatches from the trip as it happens. I'll be around to celebrate a Poetic Journey. I'll be around the Mark World Cerebral Palsy Day on Sunday the 6th. But I'll be back to normal business and back to my regular writing routine after the trip concludes. But until then, I hope all of you have a good night. All of you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys when I get to Croatia. Good night, everybody.